Sasha, where? Where are we?
Disney World!
We're at Disneyland.
Disneyland!
Oh my goodness.
Why do you guys always mistaken it? Disneyland! Okay, fine, you start it. Go. Hey guys, we're at Disneyland in California. We're not in Disney World, Florida.
Hi Onyx fam, welcome to the Onyx Life Where Change Comes with Challenge. My name is Mirthell.
And I'm Rita. Today we're back. We have a lot of things to talk about.
As always.
So the first thing we want to talk about was we had a little bit of a shakeup here.
We sure did. I mean, I feel like this whole podcast is going to be just about like a big shakeup.
Right.
Pretty much.
So on July 4th, we were sitting. Now, me and the kids, we all sat down. Actually, not Shiloh, but me and the girls, we all planned for July 4th to be the day we were going to binge Stranger Things. So we go and we were all ready. We didn't stay up till midnight the night before because we were like, you know what, we have all day July 4th. Let's just do it there. So we get down there. We're like in our, maybe the second episode. Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure. Maybe end of even the first one.
I was upstairs with Shiloh. I think he was playing a little bit of Fortnite, playing a little bit of Roblox.
Yeah, well, all I know is that I started feeling a little bit like shaking. And I was like, Sinead? Is Sinead moving this couch?
Right.
And I was shaking kind of like this. And I was like...
Looks like you're dancing.
Yeah, but that's how it felt. It felt like back and forth.
Are you twerking on the chair?
No, I am so not.
I think Rita's twerking.
Oh, okay. No. But anyway, so I was like... So I'm still shaking like this, and I'm looking at Sinead to my right, and I'm like, she doesn't look like she's shaking this couch, but why am I shaking? Like, it's not clicking yet.
Right.
That I'm shaking... And for some odd reason, because the thing is, I didn't see anything right in front of me that was shaking either.
Right.
I honestly feel that if I did not say anything, everybody would have just kept on watching. And everyone would have just been shaking and just kept on watching. So I decided, with my bright idea, to go, hey guys, I think we're having a, and I would say it. It's just that, YouTube thinks that when you talk about these things, it's a big thing, so they don't like it. So basically it was a shakeup, and I can't say the word because it will trigger something, but I will say that we were shaking. So everyone jumps up.
So they're like, I think we're having a shakeup.
And everybody just went like, huh? And then everybody all of a sudden started to register that yes, we are shaking, and we all jumped up from the couch. Now we ran to the dining room. But by the time we got even almost there, it was already over. But we could see the chandelier swinging.
Because they were all just sitting there in the living room twerking the whole time.
Honestly, though, I don't know what it was, because it was not that strong. So then we immediately go on our phones, something we didn't get to do when I used to live in California.
Right.
We immediately got on our phones, and we saw it was a 6.9.
Well,
No, sorry, 6.7.
No, it was a 6. Yeah.
No, they upgraded it back to a 6.9, right? I can't remember.
No, because the last one was the one that they had to.
Oh yeah. It
was like a 6.4 or something.
6.4 or 6.6.
Yeah, one of those.
It was strong.
But when they got to the door, before they got to the door, Sasha ran to go get Shiloh. Because Shiloh's sitting there gaming like...
Well, I knew it was pretty much over, so I didn't necessarily feel like I had to call Shiloh down.
Right.
But I think
Sasha was still in the mode of like, hey, let's get out of the house.
Right.
I had left Shiloh because I went downstairs and I was using the washroom, and it was just like... So Shiloh thought I was coming back in the room, and he thought like I was kind of like shutting the door and like stepping really... I don't know. He felt it, but he just thought
you were scaring him by shaking his chair
or something like that. So he was just like, let me tell you, this boy is a serious gamer. Like, he's just like, it's very hard to shake him out of his game. Like,
he knew what was going on, but he was like, oh well, and he wanted to keep playing because he was like, I guess he just used his reason. He's such a man.
Right.
He just used his reason and said, oh well, it's whatever it is,
it's over now.
Yeah.
And I'm gaming.
So the rest of us downstairs, now Shiloh's downstairs with us. Mirthell is not He's not anywhere around us because you were
No,
still in the
I
bathroom.
was in the bathroom. I couldn't stop midstream. I was just like sitting there like, well, let's go for the ride. It was weird though because this was my first shakeup. So I've never been, in that before. So in a situation like that before. So I am just like, I'm just rolling with it. Like I'm feeling like the ground rolling underneath me. I know exactly what's going on, but I'm just like taking it all in. Like, oh, is this what this is all about? Wow.
And you see, like for me, guys, I have described the Northridge incident, shake up, for them to feel what they felt. I feel almost like they probably think I'm just exaggerating. Because for me, for those of you who don't know, because I've talked about this before in the podcast, that was a very traumatic experience for me. I woke up, it was 4:30 in the morning, Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, 1994. I was in high school. And
does it like to do it on like
holidays?
Because it was July 4th. Like seriously, wasn't it?
Know.
It was July 4th, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was July 4th. It was July 4th.
Yeah,
so
that's
basically,
crazy.
Anyway, I wake up. It's pitch black. The whole house, everything is shaking, and it sounds like a freight train is right under the house. And,
Right.
it's not I'm sitting here just rolling. No, it was like somebody took, when you put chicken in like a bag of flour,
Right.
Because you want to coat the whole thing. It was like
Right,
somebody
right.
took our home and then just was shaking it like that.
Wow.
And everything was on the floor.
That's crazy.
Everything. Like, so basically I got up and I ran to my parents, and I'm having to do hurdles because I don't see what's in front of me, but I'm feeling everything is on the floor, so I'm jumping.
Is it dark or something like that?
It was pitch black. We lost our electricity like that.
Okay. And it was at
pitch
nighttime
black.
then,
It
clearly.
was night. It was
Oh,
still
okay.
It was 4:30, so it was pitch black.
Okay. That's
And
crazy.
Everything was on the floor. Dishes, anything you could think of, china, anything that was not nailed down was on the ground. And it did not feel like a gentle roll. It felt, like I said, like somebody took our home and just started shaking it like this. And the sound was so loud. It was like
That's crazy.
angry rumbling under your...
Why you gotta be angry?
Because that's how it felt. It just, you don't feel like something's happy when somebody's shaking.
Well, I wasn't even putting an emotion to that.
Well, it felt very angry. And the thing is, we all went under the dining room table, and an earthquake sounds a lot louder in the house.
I heard it's like a freight train.
I just said that.
Oh. That's probably where I heard it
You've been
from.
doing that lately. I will say something, and like 30 seconds later, you will be like, but what about this? And I'm like, but I just said this.
But hi, that's where I heard it from. I heard it from you 30 seconds ago.
Okay.
I wasn't wrong, was I?
No, but seriously, you've been doing that. Anyway,
Yeah.
my point is, though, is that it was a completely opposite experience than what we just experienced on July 4th.
Right.
And so my kids are like, oh, if this is what earthquakes are, well, I could deal with that. And I'm just like, okay. Because for me, it immediately triggered my PTSD basically from Northridge. And I'm not the only one. I've talked about this before. I'm on these Facebook forums and groups, and we basically, a lot of us who are here, talk about this, about how we are very nervous because of that night.
Right.
There were people who also experienced the Sylmar earthquake and Whittier earthquake. And again, these are people who really, really, really struggle when there's an earthquake because it's just, it triggers because it's something that's unknown. You don't know how long it will be. You don't know how
Right.
hard it will be. You don't know how, like, after the initial shake for Northridge, we were under that table, and the aftershocks kept coming and coming and coming and coming. Like, it was over and over and over and over again.
Wow.
And it felt just as strong.
But I feel like this one was the same effect. It just wasn't where we live.
Exactly.
It was centered
That
was
was different.
We were centered out in
It was in Ridgecrest.
Ridgecrest.
Yeah.
What's up with that? Ridgecrest.
You
Like,
know what?
I don't want
I
to be
know.
anywhere that has a ridge.
Another thing, though, about Northridge was that we literally thought, like, okay, maybe this is the world ending. Because it was that strong.
Wow,
And
the
that's
big
how-
one.
We
You wanna
thought it
call
was the big one. Right. So anyway,
That's scary.
when we figured out it was an earthquake, when dawn started, well, we figured out it was an earthquake, but when we figured out that it wasn't necessarily the end of the world, we get up, and this is why I'm going to talk about this part, because I was raised by my grandparents, so I'm with my grandparents, my aunt is there, and we
you guys
found out
have-
over the years.
Did you guys have a shake-up kit?
We had a shake-up kit.
Okay, good.
We had a shake-up kit, and basically we had started taking stuff out over the years.
Okay.
So we barely had any water, didn't really have any food.
Well,
And maybe
what
we
was
had
left
a
in there?
can, but I don't even think we had the can opener anymore. I don't even know. All I know is that my grandmother was like,
That's
"What?
messed up.
We need to go to the store." So I don't even know how we did it. We didn't have any gas really in the car.
Oh my goodness.
We go to the store. First of all, it looked like a bomb went off. Okay? And for those on YouTube, it looked like the whole place was just completely messed up. I'm serious. We have to do this double talk because for those of you who know all the stuff that goes on YouTube,
right?
You have to say one thing for YouTube and one thing for everywhere else.
So
but anyway,
so basically, everyone that's on Libsyn, you're gonna get like
get the
all
real
the back.
story,
You're
right.
gonna get all the back stuff. For okay.
all the ones on iTunes and Spotify. Anyway,
Right.
So basically, it looked like a bomb went off everywhere. The neighborhood was tore up. Okay, gas lines had broken, so there's fires everywhere. There's collapsed parking lots. Garages. There's apartment buildings there was one apartment building that was 3 stories that was now 2. Everybody died that was on the first floor.
Right.
There's cracks everywhere. Everywhere that had a brick or cinder block fence is down. The whole neighborhood.
Definitely crazy.
Before we all had cell phones, we all went to the one neighbor who actually had a generator for a TV so we could find out what was going on.
Right.
Nobody had electricity. It was terrible. So my grandmother says, well, we need to go get money. So we go, I don't even understand why we were doing this. I don't know if we're still in shock. We go and we drive. Of course, the bank is closed. It's messed up.
Right.
Everything is totally messed up.
There is no
The
electricity.
mall-
You can't go to the ATM.
Right.
You can't go anywhere.
We can't even go pump gas.
So it was crazy. Everything that I heard about it. So this time I'm expecting all of this, right?
Right, exactly.
And so Rita is just like feeling almost furious that we didn't have a catastrophe
No.
this past July 4th. Because
No.
she's like, am I a liar? Do you think I'm a liar? Do you think that I'm lying? We're like, no, we don't think you're lying. But
Well,
I mean, shakeups aren't that bad. I was
Right,
like,
right.
because I'm just like, that was like a 6 point. How much was yours in Northridge? It was 6 point whatever.
Right. It was supposedly the same,
Right.
what was it? The same strength. But
But it's, of
difference
course, this is like, it was far away.
Yeah, this one was located
course.
right in the city. Not this one. The Northridge one was right in the city, whereas that one was way out in the Mojave Desert.
It didn't help your case that we had a 7.1, like literally the next day or 2 days later. Like it was on the Friday.
Okay, so this
So
is the
the
thing.
next day
after
after-
this earthquake, right? Because we find out that it's not centered anywhere here. We all go back to our normal activities of daily living.
But me and you were saying how we should really go
so
to the
I was
store
on
and get
Amazon, and I
get
was
a
like,
kit.
yeah, maybe I should go and get
a shake-up kit.
We should go and get that. I was looking at the different ones on Amazon, like, oh, this one looks cool because you get this food, this like gel dried water or something.
Oh, so you were
And
actually
so, okay, so I'm doing all of that.
Right.
Because, hello, it's not anywhere near here, so I got time.
Right.
I got time. No, we did not have time. Next
So
day.
it was the next day, wasn't it?
Yes, and it was around 8:30.
Yeah. It was
So
the
I'm
next
sitting
day.
on the bed, and I'm talking with
I
Mirthell.
just want to see what the date was. Yeah.
July 5th.
Yeah, July 5th. Yeah,
So
the next day.
I'm sitting on the bed talking to Mirthell. It's like 8:30. We felt a few aftershocks before, because you're gonna feel a little bit with
But
them.
it was really
so
nothing.
small.
Really
It's like,
nothing, yeah.
Okay. So I'm sitting there, and I think I hear and I feel something. See, my ears are tuned to what an earthquake sounds like because
Right.
I remember. So I thought I heard a slight rumble, and I thought I felt the bed move just a bit, and then what happened was I heard the house crack a bit. So I was like, So I said, I was like, nah, it's probably nothing. And then I started hearing the girls go, did you feel that? To each other.
Right.
And then
That's when we started to really feel like,
we felt it again, and we
Right.
heard it, and I was like, okay, here we go. And so we ran.
Do you know what? All of a sudden, I felt like a
Right.
full
But what's interesting is that
motion.
the day before, overnight, before that night, the same July 4th night, there was I think it was like a 5.6 aftershock, and we slept through it. But so I'm still thinking, because by the time we now make it to the dining room, it's over again.
Right.
So I was still like, well, I guess that was just an aftershock. I mean, it seemed kind of weak. And
But
then we go
everybody-
online, and it was like 7.1.
Yeah, but everybody was like freaking out now in our house, and they're like, well, we don't know. It just keeps on getting bigger and bigger. So everybody wanted to like jump in the car. They feel safer in the car. So we jump in the car, and we're like, well, since we're in the car, we might as well go and get some earthquake supplies, just in case.
Yeah. Well,
another one could come, but even
this
if
is the
not.
thing now. Now I can't order from Amazon. Now I'm like, oh snap! I can't wait to do no Prime shipping on this.
Right.
I better go right now. We just like what happened in '94.
Right.
No kit, no water, no canned food with a can opener.
Right.
No whatever else we need. No cash. I didn't even have any
Right.
cash.
So we went to the gas station. First thing we did was fill up on gas just so that we would
Right.
have a full tank of gas. And we went to the bank, made sure that we drew out a little bit of cash.
We went to
loads
loads
Walmart,
of water from Walmart
and
Vons. But the thing
and
is,
then we got
it
cans.
was packed.
It was
There were
packed.
so
It was
many
packed.
families getting water. Like,
So it's like
Everybody.
about, maybe I would say it's about 11 o'clock at night.
right.
And the place is so packed. We're like, why is everybody
No,
out
the
here?
second one. We had a shakeup.
Right.
The second one. Listen, this is the thing. There was only a 5% chance that we were going to have a stronger one within the next week from that July 4th one. And that 5% happened.
Right.
And
Now it
so
moved up to a
now-
10%.
No, but now it's back down to a 1%.
Now it is, but
Right.
within
For
that
like
week,
a couple of days, it was like 10%.
So
So we were like, I was telling Mirthell, like, why are we still in town? Like, I know, like, this is the thing. We have so many actual events in the next few days that I actually have to be in, or else I would have
Right.
been so out of town because I do not want to be here.
And you know what, babe? I would have
with
went with you.
something.
Honestly, if we did not have all the things that we have to get done, I would have went with you.
Yeah.
But I was just like, nah, we gotta rough this thing out, man, because driving that
See,
distance.
and I know that you can rough it out because after Northridge, after the first day or two of shaking, it was so powerful that the pool water from our backyard came, and this is the thing, there's quite a distance from the pool to the actual living room, dining room, but it was the water was thrown with such force that it broke all the windows and the glass doors in the back of our house. So we had to get our whole house redone. There was also structural damage. All over Northridge and the surrounding areas, there were homes that were literally uninhabitable. There were red X's and caution tape.
Basically saying you can't go inside there.
Yeah, you can't because
Right.
a lot of people, their chimneys collapse, everything. So anyway, I'm just saying that when we were thinking about what are we going to do about roughing it out, I remember that when we were cleaning up now and we were trying to put our lives back in order, we had to do it through aftershocks. And eventually it became like, all right, aftershocks. And we had it for weeks and months. And I would be doing my homework, hear an aftershock, be all right. Watching TV, hear an aftershock. Cleaning my room, hear an aftershock. I keep saying hear it because hearing is also very triggering, but hear it and feel it. So basically, when we now we're thinking about like, what are we going to do? He was right. I was like, okay, fine. We will rough it out. And I was just preparing myself like, okay, if I feel any aftershocks, it's going to be okay. I'm going to be fine. And let's just do this. So we do know that it was not centered around here. So for us, we were really lucky. But for those in Ridgecrest, we know that they're having a really hard time. And so I know what that's like, been through it, and I do pray for them.
Absolutely. So not only was there a big shakeup here in California, but apparently it had reverberated throughout the entire country and other countries.
What do you mean?
Well, I think that there was a bigger shakeup because I don't really feel like earthquakes are a big deal or shakeups are a big deal because, clearly, you must have made a big, you must have made a huge deal. Like that story about Northridge and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like clearly, it's
you know
not.
What? I don't even
clearly,
care.
it's not that big of a deal.
I don't care if I'm ever proven right because you know what? I don't want to go through it again. I literally do not want to.
I just
go
don't
through
respect
it
it anymore. I just don't respect it. I don't respect it. I don't think that it's anything. I mean,
I
it's
hope
like
someone might not see. Someone might be just hearing this and not knowing that you're being sarcastic because they can't see you. They might not go on the YouTube version.
Right.
Anyway.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, it was basically Rita twerking.
Oh my goodness. Anyway.
But the real shakeup came the night of the 7.1. That was a real shakeup. That's when the news came in that Kawhi Leonard is going to California. Not the Lakers,
right?
But the Clippers. I mean, that's the real shakeup.
Right.
I mean, that messed everything up. I mean, at this point in time, because of Kawhi, we had been waiting for him to kind of make that announcement. But because of Kawhi, it now didn't just shake California. It didn't just shake the United States. It shook all of Canada. I mean, this had way greater consequences in this particular shakeup. We got the entire championship squad of Toronto is probably now gone.
That's pretty sad.
That's
sad.
Sad.
To be there when the whole city was celebrating and was just like basically worshiping Kawhi. They were just so enraptured with, oh, we won. We finally got a championship. And he was like, peace. You know, it was good while it lasted, but I'm out of here. I'm going back home.
Right.
And for me, I'm a Lakers fan. I've always have been because I am from Los Angeles. But the ironic thing was my first basketball game was the Clippers. But for me, the Clippers were always this team that were kind of forgettable. Now I feel like, okay, this is going to be really interesting to have a LA Lakers, LA Clippers. I mean, it's going to be really amazing.
Well, I mean, the Lakers team is going to be interesting because now you guys also have Danny Green, which just came from the Raptors as well. So because we didn't know what was happening with anything with Toronto, because what they were trying to do is they're trying to preserve the championship team. Mm-hmm. And Kawhi literally held the key to whatever was going to happen.
Right.
We heard that, that LeBron James was there and, they got another big man. But now, like Danny Green now that he said that Danny Green is going to be there, I think they even got DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins was on the Golden State Warriors. We didn't know where he was going. So, but now he's going to be there as well. So you got the Golden State Warriors that is broken up because now we know that Iguodala is going to be gone as well.
And Kevin Durant's gone.
Kevin Durant is gone to the Nets. They took from Boston Kyrie Irving to the Nets. I mean, it's just like the NBA is it's a huge shakeup. Like,
but what's Toronto left with?
Well, Toronto still has Spicy P. They still have Pascal Siakam.
Literally, I have no idea who these people are.
Right, and Lowry is still there. So.
Oh wait, I think I might remember Siakam.
Siakam. I think
is that how you pronounce his name, or is that your
no Siakam?
Your Jamaican way.
It's Siakam.
Jamaicans butcher words.
But I believe it is Siakam, and they're gonna. I think they're gonna really create a team around him. They might even trade Lowry. It's a possibility they might trade Lowry.
So you and I were talking about the fact that there is something that there is an underlying reason sometimes people choose to leave Toronto.
Right. So a lot of people have left Toronto for different reasons. For the most part, I think that people have left Toronto because they don't like the taxes in Toronto, and so when NBA players come, they have to pay an additional set of taxes. And there are a few other kind of like nuances that kind of make it difficult for NBA players to just set root in Toronto. So a lot of people were thinking, is it possible that, that's the reason why he's going to not want to play in Toronto? And all these things were going around. But one of the things that several of the players were saying why they don't want to play in Toronto is probably what some people would think is small. But when I heard their reasons, it kind of resonated with me because I heard you saying a lot of the same things. They don't want to play. Well, let's just talk about Kawhi. Kawhi did not want to stay in Toronto, or he chose not to stay in Toronto. Even though that was a championship team, it's very likely that they could have won a second championship. And most championship teams will not split up. They generally will say, I want to stay together. But Kawhi says he wants to go home. And everybody knew this, that Kawhi, once he deals with his injury and he gets through his...
He has an injury?
He had an injury. That's the reason. One of the reasons why he even left the Spurs, came to Toronto because he wanted to heal up. And through there's just a certain time period where he was a free agent, and during that time period, he wanted to just take that year, and and Toronto promised him the world basically if he just stayed with us for the year, and if he gave us the title, even better. Anyhow, so he wanted to go home. Everybody knew that, and that was his reason for leaving. But not everybody that has left Toronto has gone to their hometown per se. And a lot of people are saying, well, why is it that these guys are leaving? They're leaving Toronto for this and that. Kawhi is different because he went home to his hometown. But they kind of all are kind of going home. And see, the thing is that a lot of people from Toronto feel, and I felt this way, that Toronto is so similar to the United States. It's the closest thing to the United States that you're almost like you're in the United States. But that might be the case for some people. But one of the things I realized is that for the African American, as opposed to maybe like a Chinese American or an Indian American or even a white American, for an African American in particular, it is very difficult to live in Toronto and feel as though you're home.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think we can speak for Chinese Americans or Indian Americans.
I don't feel like I can. I'm not saying that.
I just think because there's people I grew up with that they might be Chinese and I might be black, but we all have the same shared experience.
Right.
And because like Mirthell said, it's the closest you're going to get to America without being in America. But yet, for me coming from America, it was so different.
I'm not necessarily speaking for them. What I'm saying is that
no, but you said
there's
it could
a
be
difference.
Easier, but
it
don't
could
know
be.
that.
That's why I said could be. It could be easier, and the reason why I make a distinction between them and African American experience is because in the Chinese culture, I have heard many Chinese people in America say similar things that Canadian Chinese kids say, which is that their parents hold on to the Chinese culture.
Oh, okay.
And the Indian culture says the same thing, that they hold on to their culture,
True,
right?
true, yeah.
And so when they come to America, they have to navigate through American culture and then their old culture. Well, Canadians and them say the same thing.
Right.
But the difference with the African American culture, and this is the reason why I said this, is because there is no African Americans in Canada unless you're going to Nova Scotia,
right,
which is like this small group.
And
that's
really
the major difference.
They're African American descent from
But
slavery.
Canadian, right.
But they're not. But they're Canadians.
Right, and so the distinct difference between African Americans that go there to work is that they're interacting with, they don't really have any African Americans to interact with. The black people that are there are either African descent or they are West Indian descent. And so, there is a difference between West Indians and Africans and African Americans. And so when they come here, they don't have representation. There's no soul food restaurants there. There is no...
Well, let me speak on it because
right.
I'm the African American that was living in Toronto. And I first made Mirthell aware of this when I first moved out there, when we lived out there for a few years. And so when I first moved out there, I was pretty young at the time. We had just been married. And we were there for just like a few years. And then we moved back to the U.S. And I distinctly remember thinking, oh, it's right here next to the U.S. There's probably going to be a ton of African Americans.
Right.
I'm going to just have the same culture. I just figured it was almost like moving to another state.
Me and you used to talk about the shows that we watched, so you thought that TV
that
was going to be exact. Yeah. Which we were in some ways.
Everything was going to be the same.
Right.
I just thought, like I said, that it was going to be like moving to another state.
Right.
I knew that, like, if I moved to England, like, oh, hello, it's like a whole ocean between, that's totally different.
Right.
So I was thinking Canada. No, when I got there, I realized, oh, wow, I don't really see or hear any other African Americans.
Right.
And my whole time that I lived there, I think there was two that I met.
That you met, right. That kind of lived there that you could probably interact with.
Right.
But
everybody else was either West Indian or Caribbean.
Like two.
I mean, sorry, African.
Let's just look at the difference. I came to America. When I came to America, oh my goodness,
yes,
West Indian
so
stores all around the place. Jamaicans,
Canadians,
Trinidadians, Canadians, Africans.
Right.
I don't really miss a beat moving from Canada to the United States because my culture is here. My extended culture is here. My parents' heritage is here. But when she came to Canada, that's the complete opposite. Right down to food. She comes there and there's no restaurants that are serving you grits
First
and
of all,
stuff like that.
They'll
serve you cornmeal porridge.
I could not understand the accents for a
True.
very long time. I could not understand the culture. there's a certain way that West Indians are, and the way that their mannerisms are.
And the jokes are a certain way.
Everything was totally different. I felt like I was alone. I really did. And then I had the added thing of being American, and at the time, everybody was like saying certain things about Americans. So it was really isolating. Very isolating. Then now let's take it just make me more broad now. Just as an American going there, I'm thinking I'm going to have the same products, the same everything. No,
you don't have the same products. You don't have the same hair products.
There's some products are the same.
Yeah, some.
And then a lot that are not.
Right.
The prices are very different. The selection is very different.
Right.
The channels on TV are different. At
the particular time, like, you couldn't even go to the store and necessarily get a doll. Because at the time that we had moved there, it is even progressed probably even now.
Yeah,
but at the time, there were some things that we just didn't have. Then, like, that's another thing. Like, I heard these basketball players talking about, like, even when I was watching TV, like, certain channels don't have my show or don't have...
Right.
You know, and
you had to go searching for your show because... Right. When now that I know TV and stuff, that they buy the license for the show and they put it on their networks.
And of course, you can have satellite now, so it's a little different now. But,
I couldn't find those. I couldn't find Bravo out there. I had to look it on Style or I don't know. It was just very, very different. But you said something about the store. So we had our first daughter out there, and so I went to the store to go buy her a black Barbie because I grew up with black Barbies. They were in every store. And I was like, this is weird. Can't find a black Barbie.
And the first time we moved out there was in the late 90s. So, like, that's, at that particular point in time, you couldn't find it. Now, I'm sure if someone's listening to this podcast, they're like, oh, you can find it there.
Right.
But at that time, it wasn't as prevalent.
We lived there, like, mid-99. So we were there from mid-99 to about the early 2000s. Right. And anyway, I was looking for a black Barbie, could not find it. And I was like, this is weird. It must be the store.
And it's not to say that it wasn't in Canada at all.
But it wasn't at the stores that we looked in.
That we were looked in.
Then Mirthell told me that this was normal.
Right, it was, because that was not prevalent at the time.
So I was like, what? It was just so different. Right. They would say...
certain cereals, certain drinks.
Yeah. And just the things they would call. Like, can you pass me a serviette? I was like, what is a serviette? What is this? It was a napkin. Bed Chesterfields. Just little things to big things. Like feeling, like I said, like you're isolated. Like you're the only person of your culture that's there. And everybody, like, this is the thing about West Indians. They're obsessed with their food. They're obsessed. Well, so it's not even...
They should be. It's so good.
I'm not going to lie. Some of it is really, really good. Some of it, I won't even get into it because... I know how it's good. I just know you guys out there are going to be up in arms if I tell you what I don't like. Green banana. Ackee. Anyway.
She wanted ackee to be scrambled eggs. Of course, if you want ackee to be scrambled eggs, ackee is ackee.
It looks just like scrambled eggs. And then when you put it in your mouth, it's, what is this? Anyway. But seriously.
Cream of wheat is cream of wheat. Grits is grits. Cornmeal porridge is cornmeal porridge.
Yes. Well... Either way,
you can't make it.
We were leaving. We did have a going away brunch from the church we were leaving, and this is when we were moving to another church, or when we were moving back to the States.
I think
we were moving back. We were moving to the States.
Yeah, we were just for a little while to do education.
Yeah, but we ended up staying,
right?
Because we ended up living in New York and stuff. So anyway, they gave us a going away brunch. I'm getting excited because I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have waffles and pancakes and grits and eggs. We're gonna have like all of that, right? No. We had spinach, callaloo, dumplings.
Speak the truth.
What else did we have?
Speak the truth.
I can't remember what else we had. Basically,
Bammy breadfruit.
Nothing that I was even familiar with. I felt tricked. I felt like just betrayed. And I was like, what is this? But anyway, it was a crash course in adjusting to culture.
Right. But a lot of these basketball players, what they're basically saying, and I understood them, and a lot of the commentators and everybody was just like, they're getting up in arms over this whole situation of these basketball players kind of leaving the city and going back to another team. And in this particular case, Kawhi going home, I just wanted to kind of like let everybody in Toronto who's kind of saying, well, I understand Kawhi going home, but the rest of them, like, why is everybody leaving? they're all going home. Like, especially the African American players, they're all going home. They're going to somewhere that's familiar. And a lot of them were saying, in when they have their podcast or when they are kind of talking in their interviews, they're like I don't know what it is, but as soon as I would even play in just another American city, I just feel like I'm home, and that's the truth. I mean,
you know what? There was 3, one from Brooklyn, one from Michigan. Wasn't he from Michigan? And another one from.
Who are you talking about?
The 3 Americans that I knew out there.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
But I say that to say this.
But one of them had West Indian heritage, though, so you can't really say the one from Brooklyn. The one from Brooklyn was really from Trinidad.
You know what,
and
though?
So
he was so New Yorker.
He sounded New York, but he fully was able to enjoy Toronto because he's from Trinidad. So
Well, no, he also came from a very rough neighborhood, and then he was now living in a very much nicer neighborhood in Toronto.
Right.
And he was like, why would I ever go back?
Right.
But for me, and I feel like a lot of people, especially coming from the West Coast, there's an added change of cultural, because there's an added element of cultural shock. You're now going into the East Coast. The East Coast, heavy winters, snowing, just a certain vibe. It's very different. And like you said, if you're from like New York, and you're like from Brooklyn or Bronx, you have a very heavy West Indian presence. Right. So going from New York to Toronto is very similar.
If you're a native of New York,
yeah.
I don't think it would even be so bad, because a native of New York is constantly, they understand that West Indian roots and culture. But you're right. Like Kawhi coming from the LA background, like
it was very different.
I can't even find a good roti out here. Like, I'm trying to find my Guyanese peep. I'm trying to find my Trinidadian peeps.
But at my church, I knew somebody from Guyana. I knew a family.
Oh, I knew one family from.
That's true.
Like, seriously, like I cannot find certain things that is common to me. So yeah, I think that a better fit would be someone that is a native of New York going to the Toronto Raptors.
Right.
They would rather stay, and then they're right across the border anyhow, and I think it would be a better fit.
Right.
Because probably all of their friends, like a lot of the rappers that are out there, they have their West Indian roots, and so they kind of like seamlessly go in and out of like Caribbean and American culture so easily. But one thing I learned is that when you're from the West Coast, that's about as far away as you can get.
It is. It really
is.
is.
And they don't have the same West Indian representative here. So I think Kawhi was like a fish out of water. I think he really was like, hey, this is cool. I enjoy this place. I enjoy Canada, but it is so far away from home. I need to get back home.
Right. And I mean, Toronto is a lovely city. Don't get me wrong. It's a very lovely city. I really learned to love and appreciate the differences and also the similarities. And last time we were there, we had a great time. And we were just there a few weeks ago for the actual championship. But it was funny, though, because for July 4th, after all of the shaking, we went and we saw fireworks at my mom's house.
Yes.
And for Mirthell, that was like his fish out of water. It was very, very, very classic African American. There were no rice and peas, no. It was just like barbecue. We had we had like
beef ribs,
R&B music.
I didn't eat any of the other ribs, like pork ribs, and just like
it was just
they had what else was there? There was like coleslaw. There was like
just regular food that I'm
all the food that you're used to, like white bread and all sorts of
white bread, but yeah.
I'm just saying, like, it was just like...
It was just not West Indian food.
Like, basically. What I was expecting when I went there. And I don't know why. I just always... There's always rice and peas somewhere. There's always some fried plantain somewhere.
See, this is something I didn't understand when I moved to Toronto. Why is there rice and peas everywhere? Like, don't people get tired of it? But I know from my friends, that my Filipino friends especially, because I went to a school that had a lot of Filipinos.
They're looking for their pancits.
They're always... That's not what I was going to say. I was saying they always look for rice.
Right, rice.
They always have rice.
There's always...
But, so anyway, it's just funny because every time he gets around, like, that side of my family, he's always like,
and that's another thing. If Kawhi or any of those NBA players are in Toronto, there's going to be some soca playing. There's going to be some calypso playing. There's going to be some reggae playing. There's going to be some type of island flavor that is going to be playing at the clubs. That's going to be, of course, we have the time where there's... Caravana, which is a huge parade, which tons of people come over and they can enjoy it for the time. But that is like on the club scene. So when I was on the club scene in Toronto, they would oftentimes we would have like West Indian floor where we would have like soca, calypso, reggae, and then they'd have a floor that would be playing like hip hop. and then they would have another floor that would be playing sort of like house pop, depending on the club. But usually they would have like these levels, or if it was just one club where they didn't have the floors, they would have a time period where they would play their R&B, time period to play hip hop, time period to play their soca and reggae. And so like you're always inundated with that cultural element. And I'm sure that was interesting because when you're out here, the major thing that you'll hear playing is either hip hop or some like R&B or soul, like that. Like that. What was that thing that they were playing? Because that's like that typical like
that's soul,
old school soul.
Yeah.
So when I was at the barbecue, they were just like playing like that old school soul,
and they were dancing,
and they were just like dancing, and everybody was getting
setting
up,
off fireworks,
and I was just like, I was like, wow, I feel like I'm like on an episode of like Friday or. You know, because we're right on Crenshaw.
You are
we're
not calling it ghetto.
no, I'm just saying,
babe,
I'm not calling it ghetto. I'm just saying, like, we were in Crenshaw. We were right there in
so
Slauson. So, I mean, like, what? We were literally, like, 2 blocks away from where Nipsey Hussle got shot. Like, I'm not calling it ghetto. I'm just saying what it is. Like, I felt like I was watching an episode of, like, next Friday or whatever. And I was having fun. Like, I love my relatives. I love your mom. I love your sister. I love, like...
See, I have 2 sides. I have my mom's side, which is more that side, which is very fun. You know, it's Crenshaw, that fun, that part. And then I have the other part of African American society on my dad's side that is very, very bougie.
Yeah.
Very, very bougie, we all have our, you know, degrees.
Yeah.
We all are well off. And it's just...
I'm a prosecutor.
Yeah, I'm an attorney.
You know.
So it's very African American on both sides, but I have both elements
My
of it.
child is in med school or
we would go, Mirthell and I had been to Martha's Vineyard a few times for the summer, and we would always go there during the time where it was like everybody would be there. So you're just around all these like judges and lawyers and doctors and all these people with wealth and money. And it's a part of African American society that a lot of people do not know about or see. It's like it's not portrayed a lot in the media.
Sure.
You know, because they think, oh, let's just throw. And if they on the media, they all think it's just like Crenshaw.
Yeah.
But we
and
have
several
both.
summers we have just gone out to like Martha's Vineyard to just hang out and, you know, network and do all that kind of stuff and have a lot of fun. Our kids would go to all the parties. They'd go to like the white parties where, you know, Jack and Jill's were there.
Sasha Obama was
there, and they were partying with them. So
it's that side. So I'm just glad that you get to experience both sides of it, and I get to experience the West Indian side with him. Right. And so we're just it's a fun time.
I love it all. I love the African American culture. I just think that they are just so much fun. I've had so much fun with her family. They just know how to get down. You know what I mean? And just like let it all loose and let it, you know, just have a lot of fun. And July 4th was a lot of fun, and they were setting off fireworks. Like fireworks were all over the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And you just saw all the little kids like playing and dancing, and it was a really good time. It was a really good time. So, but I can understand why Kawhi wanted to go home. I can understand why you now being in California, you feel like you're at home, and
definitely.
And it's kind of like the best of both worlds for us because I'm still home too. I still get to, you know, have a taste of my culture, but yeah, at the same time, I'm with her culture. And
well, today, you know, he went to El Pollo Loco, which for some people who don't know is a chain restaurant. I don't know if it's just in California, but for sure it's in California. I don't know if it's in Arizona or anything, but Mirthell asked me, what does loco mean? And I was like, you are so not from here. Because I feel like even those who don't know Spanish know what loco means. Because we use it in everyday vernacular. We'll be like, he's gone loco. And it was like, I said, it means crazy.
Right. Sounds like crazy chicken. But you see, if I had stopped to think about it more, then I would have known. Because I do know, like, people always say loco. But it's just like, I don't know why, but it was just elusive to me. I think even pollo, like, I would have said polo.
No, yeah, it's
polo.
For sure. Because
I probably said, no,
see,
now African Americans would be like polo.
No, because even African Americans out here,
my heritage was like
polo. From California.
Polo. What is polo thing then?
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's what you're.
Polo.
But for us out here, because we have so many Latino or Latinx people out here, we know certain words how they're pronounced. Juan, Juan.
Right.
You know, you'll be like Juan.
Juan.
You know, Jorge. You'll say George. Like certain things that.
Whoa, that's like that different.
Yes.
George.
Well, because the way it's spelled.
Right.
Because you won't know that J is what the H sound.
Right.
You know, so.
But I knew that polo was polo. I knew
Right.
that was chicken because you had told me that before. And if I really thought about it, I would have known. But you're right. You're right. Like there's certain nuances.
You guys don't understand how many times I have heard people in this house say quesadilla. And I think it's only recently where
Quesadilla.
finally people said quesadilla. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, but
let's move on.
But yeah, so on the 4th of July, we had after the shakeup, you know, we had our barbecue, and we were able to have our break open our box. Now we received a box from Impossible Meat.
Oh yeah.
Impossible Meat is like
I was confused.
nowhere. They're like nowhere. Like it's running out. It's running out in New York.
So we were in New York City, for those who follow our podcast and our life. We were in New York City just a few weeks ago, and we had ordered through Uber Eats, through Postmates. We were trying all over the city to find an Impossible Burger. Everywhere was sold out.
Because we like to eat it out here. Right.
Yeah, but you could, when you're out in LA, you could get it everywhere.
But the East Coast, you can't get it.
It's so strange.
Right. So anyhow, we must have done something with the Impossible Meat on one of our videos. So the Impossible people contacted us and was like, they sent us like free Impossible burgers, and they sent us some meat.
And they sent us like products and everything. First of all, I love Impossible Burgers. Don't at me. I already know I already know what you all want to say.
GMO and all that stuff. Yeah.
I love Impossible Burgers.
Right.
It tastes so good.
Oh.
I don't really eat beef and chicken anymore, but I miss it. I miss it like crazy. I really, really miss it.
The Impossible Meat is about the closest thing to beef.
If I could just get an Impossible Chicken, I would be so happy.
We're putting it out there. Impossible people,
chicken.
get the Impossible Chicken
But
going.
yeah, no, the Impossible Burger is amazing. I usually I like the one at Wahlburger. And Monty's is really good. It's very
What's
hard
that one
for
that
me.
I like with the inside the taco?
Fred 62.
Fred 61
Yeah.
or 62? Is it
The
62?
62,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Fred 62.
So they put it in this like
Oh,
street
my
taco,
goodness.
but
Wow.
instead of beef, it's like a Impossible Burger meat.
But the way that they flavor it,
Yeah.
though.
See, that's the thing. It's very hard, I think, to mess up Impossible Burger. It just has a good flavor, but then when people add things to it, it's even better.
Oh yeah, they add
It's
all
amazing.
the spices
I feel like
that
one
they would.
right now.
Let's go get one,
so
and then we'll
good.
come back to the podcast. Okay, everybody, no, I'm just joking.
No,
but
it's
seriously,
so good.
So on the 4th of July, we decided to do some burgers, and I seasoned it up just like the regular way that we season it up. Anyhow, but not only that, but we also had the Impossible Meat. We had some friends over, and they had just left to go back to where they were, to the south, where we live. And when they were here, we took that same Impossible Meat, and I seasoned it, and we had like lasagna. Now we had this Italian meal.
Yes.
We had like grape
So
juice, and we had like lasagna. We had garlic bread, and
We say
then
grape juice because we don't drink.
Yeah. But like that would be like the red wine, but it was like grape juice.
Yeah.
But anyhow, salad and all that Italian meal.
Right. Now,
I
our
love
friends,
a good lasagna.
Right.
Okay.
But our friends, they're very much meat eaters.
Oh yeah.
They eat meat.
Big meat
So-
eaters. Like everything is meat.
Right. So basically, we were going to do the lasagna, and we were going to have them try it.
Right.
We also had another lasagna though that had
some beef.
had some other meat.
Turkey. I think
Right.
turkey in it. Yeah.
Right. And then we had a vegan, vegetarian one for those who
Because
didn't want.
some in our house is
Right.
vegan.
So-
but we did put the Impossible Meat in it. It just didn't have the real cheese.
Right.
So
right,
I made
right.
an Impossible Meat vegan
Right.
version for the person.
And
So
And to see, the real test to me with people who like Impossible Meat are people who like meat
right.
and will eat it and eat it a lot.
So it was we
And
really
they
had a good
actually
time.
liked it.
Well, yeah,
they
it was
really liked it.
So like I fixed it up the exact same way that I fixed up ground beef, whatever, and seasoned it and did all that stuff. And as you know, they liked it. It turned out to be a success.
was really
and
good.
as you can see, it looks exactly like beef. It smells like beef, and it tastes really a lot like beef.
So definitely, I want to have more of that Impossible Meat.
Yeah, for sure. That is it's really a
really
good
good.
thing. And thank you, Impossible.
I mean,
people.
I know there are some people who think it tastes too close to meat, so they stay away from it. I don't see why that's a problem. I want it to taste like meat. Meat tastes good.
Right.
So, you know, I want it to taste like that.
You know, it's interesting, but, you know, this whole plant-based kind of movement and everything that's going on, I was listening to a podcast, and I kind of accidentally listened to it because I saw it on my Facebook feed. I clicked on it, and in the podcast, it was talking about, you know, the benefits of plant-based and how can we get the next generation, especially this generation, to really buy into it. And I feel like they have already, so I'm not quite sure why they're really saying this.
Right.
But one of the things that they said is the reason why they feel that when they do buy into the plant-based, it's not so much for the research. This particular person said this. I think I disagree. They said it's not so much for the research, but it's for the justice movement. It's social justice movement, because there is an inequality issue that is going on where certain neighborhoods are inundated with fast food,
right.
while other neighborhoods that are not of a certain persuasion or cultural persuasion, they don't have, their neighborhoods are not inundated with fast food. And as a result, this is a social justice issue. I feel like that was just that's his soapbox, and he wanted to get on it. Because when I see this generation, he says, if we don't make this a social justice issue, we're not going to be able to get the next generation on it. Maybe he's talking about maybe black children, because other youth at this generation, I feel like they're completely fine. You know, so he might be speaking to black youth, saying that black youth will continue to eat this food until they realize that there is an agenda, and the agenda is that that you're being inundated. Your neighborhoods are being inundated with bad food that is not good for your health, that is really tearing down your communities and tearing down your society and breaking down your health. And if we could just let them know that, you know, this is an attack, almost. I felt like that's what he was trying to say. That this is an attack. And I don't know. Maybe that could be work for them. Maybe that is a perspective that
I don't think that's
you might
going
want to
to
share,
really
but
work in that particular. For that to be the thing that's going to persuade people, I don't think that's going to work.
Right. But basically what he's saying is that, but just approaching them and just basically saying to this particular demographic, this is not good for you, here is the statistics, they don't really respond to that. That's kind of what he's saying. So,
well, you know, definitely it first comes with what is offered in the community.
I mean,
and I've worked in a lot of those communities, and I have seen firsthand what is actually offered and what's not. And I've seen blocks where there is closed up buildings, vacant parking lots, everything, but there'll be like a KFC standing.
Right, and the KFC will be like a beacon of light, like a lighthouse, you know.
So yeah,
I've seen
places where there's no grocery stores, but there's a liquor store every other block. So definitely
something is going on that needs to be spoken to.
Right.
But I can't necessarily say that it's like, for instance, our family is very much plant-based in many ways. You know,
well, there's some who eat meat. There's some who eat more plant-based. There's some who eat fish.
Right.
So we're a mix.
But we're a mix. But for the most part, I'd say the majority of our family eats more plant-based than we do anything else.
Right.
On a daily basis. Right. And so it goes to show you that, education can make a difference in the home of a black family when they see that there is a benefit in eating more plant-based than not.
Partly, though, for us, though, we have a background in it because of how we were raised in our religion.
That's true.
That makes a huge difference.
That's true.
So for our religion, we are basically taught from young principles about how we need to incorporate more plant food.
Right.
That being said, I grew up being a meat eater. So it's not like
because it's not a forced situation. No, it is simply education, and you're influenced.
But we're influenced by it a lot, and we have a lot of people who, you know, teach us a lot about those principles. Whereas
and how it's the health benefits.
Right. And so our religion is obviously it's not just black people, but anybody that's in our religion tends to be a little bit more plant based.
Right.
Because of how we were raised. So
now when it comes to others, there's still like people like the Smiths. So now we have Jaden Smith. Just recently, we hear that he has these plant-based trucks.
Yeah, so he actually launched some food trucks.
They called I Love You trucks.
I Love You trucks, and they hand out vegan meals to the homeless.
To Skid Row. Mm-hmm. And when I looked at the video, you know, they're going into these marginalized neighborhoods, and they're really trying to make the connection between you don't have to be low socioeconomic status neighborhoods and not eat good. We have a moral objective to make sure that we are feeding every single person in America. Every single person needs to have access to healthy, nutrition-dense food, where when you're eating it, it's not like this...
Healing.
It's healing the body.
Right.
It's actually giving you energy because the enzymes are still in the food, as opposed to eating all this processed stuff that is just plastic. And you're just like, you're filling your belly, but then you're not.
Right.
You know, you get hungry the next second because it's not food. And so I'm really proud to see that an African-American young man is taking such an initiative to say, I'm going to make a difference.
Well, he did that. He did the water in Flint.
Right.
I mean, I'm very impressed. I think I saw some people talking about how people questioned Will and Jada about the way that they've raised their children. But the fruit, what you see, the fruit of their labor is now showing.
Right.
And you see a very compassionate, kind,
Very
entrepreneurial.
Right.
Entrepreneurial. You see someone who is using his fame to
make a difference.
Make a good difference and influence. So I think that that's how it is with a lot of us as parents. You might worry. You might think, oh, did I do this right? But overall, I think that, if you do your best, you're going to see it. You might not see it when they're young. You might not see it during the difficult times. You might get discouraged, but if you stay on track and you stay on message, and the message that Will and Jada have always had was like, be compassionate, be loving, be accepting, be kind, and it's showing with him just going out there and not being afraid to go in these communities.
Now, I wonder, do you think that they raised them, to be plant-based? Or do you think there had to be a parental influence in some way? I think I've heard Will and Jada kind of talk about that as well.
I think that there are certain households that are going to be a little bit more cautious in thinking about health. One of those is celebrities.
Right.
Because they are very health conscious because they have to look good.
And they want to keep their money.
Right.
They want to be around.
Right. So, I think you're going to see a lot of households like that are going to be like exercising on the daily.
Right.
And eating, greens and, all the things. So I think if anything, it came from that. But I don't know. She could have literally sat him down and said, hey, this is healthier. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. But that's just that level of compassion. I really love to see that. And there's all these people that try to make that link between be compassionate to the animals, be compassionate to the land, be compassionate to nature, be compassionate. So there's an element of compassion with this plant-based movement that is happening. It's interesting. There's some studies that show that they have tried to do some plant-based meals in prisons.
Yeah.
And when the prisons that have adopted these plant-based meals, they say that the violence has gone down tremendously in that population. And the ones that are just giving the regular American diet with the meat, it goes up. And so, thank you. And so, you must be plant-based. You're being so compassionate, with what's going on. Anyhow, but just making that segue, if you notice, prison population is extremely violent, extremely tense. There's a lot of adrenaline, and they say that it's borrowed adrenaline that could be coming from the blood in meat, and so animals tend to be could be violent or and that passes over through the blood and through the meat, and so when you adopt a more plant-based diet, you're eliminating those hormones, those, adrenaline that, what's male hormones again? The testosterone that may be found inside the meats or whatever those things are that spikes people's emotions. And so in many of the neighborhoods, is it possible that we have violence or we have people that are on edge and emotional based on all these fast foods that are around, KFC's on the corner, Burger King on the corner, and all these things? Is this one of the reasons? I don't know. I don't know, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, how is it possible?
I grew up eating KFC and Burger King and all those things, McDonald's, Jack in the Box, Wendy's.
Right.
And I don't feel I was violent.
Well, I know this. I don't know how it was possible to be in the happiest place on the planet, yet you brought drama to the happiest place on the planet. and a brawl broke out. Like, I'm not trying to say that meat was the cause. I'm not trying to say that meat was the cause. But I'm just wondering, like, what's going on? You heard about that? Did you hear about that brawl?
Yes. Now, the irony is we were at Disneyland a few weeks ago with our friends who were in town. We spent 2 days, and it's, to me, the brawl might have started because, look, you get exhausted. You get exhausted when you do Disneyland.
So you're saying that was the cause?
I love Disneyland,
it was the exhaustion?
I was
it the long lines that just got them, like, all unnerved?
Long lines, long walks. It was hot. I'm just kidding. What we know of the brawl, because if you saw the footage, which we're not going to show here, what we saw though was that there was.
But we can't show them footage because we can show them footage of our family.
Well, our family, yes, but not the brawl.
All right, now.
Shasha, where are we?
Disney World!
What Disneyland?
Disneyland!
Oh my goodness.
Why do you guys always mistake it? Disneyland! Okay, fine, you start it. Go. Hey guys, we're at Disneyland in California. We're not in Disney World, Florida.
Okay. Wait.
This is basically part 1 of the vlog because tomorrow we're going to Star Wars. But today we're doing just Disneyland.
Yeah, so we're gonna go to Tomorrowland, Fantasyland. Oh wait, I'm gonna get some ears. I'm gonna get some ears. Which one should I get? You guys go ahead. I'm just gonna get some ears. Where's Mickey?
Where's Mickey?
Oh, they're coming!
Yes!
Yeah! Hold my thing. Hold my thing.
We love you!
Show him stop. Chip and Dale.
But the brawl, we saw a man. He was beating these women.
Ooh, it was bad.
It was a takedown, man. And what we saw later, or what we heard later, was that he was with a girlfriend and he ran into his wife and his family.
What, people? We don't know. We don't know.
I don't know. That's allegedly.
I'm just wondering, how is the happiest place in the world?
Right in Toontown, right in front of Goofy's house.
Goofy. Now, that was just straight Goofy.
To be like, I'm doing that. Just take it home.
No, you really can't blame it on me. You can't blame it on KFC because, like, Chick-fil-A is just so, like...
Oh, they're so
pleasant and, like, you know...
Exactly. I miss
like,
Chick-fil-A.
Kumbaya.
I mean, Chick-fil-A is here, but, again, I don't eat chicken anymore, so...
Right.
But regardless, the point is that how can you pay so much money to go to Disneyland?
To get thrown out.
Exactly.
Like, that was, like,
and
Disney World is hundreds
life.
and hundreds of dollars, and you're banned for life.
Exactly.
Well, I can see why they're banned for life. You can't go to the happiest place in the world and fight.
Well, no, I'm saying I can understand that, but how do you, as a person, start a fight? You know it's going to happen.
Right.
You know you're going to be kicked out. You know you're going to be banned. You know you could be charged. There could be a lot of things that happen.
They probably had good reason. I'm not trying to say that they probably had good. They probably know why they fight. Like what?
No, there's no good reason they started that fight there. None whatsoever. Because you know what? I am so glad Disneyland does such intense checks for your bags.
Right.
Because I feel like if there was a weapon there, it would have been discharged.
That's right. You're right.
And that's not right.
You are right.
I could have been at Toontown. That could have been us. If we had decided to do this whole vacation 3 weeks later.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. I'm just saying that I'd like to believe that there was a good enough reason why. No. Good enough reason like somebody like,
no, man.
I don't know, slap your mama. Home. They slap your mama or something.
No.
Like, I don't know.
You run into each other. You say, you know what? I'll be home around 10. Let's take it over there because don't do it at Disneyland.
Okay, so your whole thing is just don't do it at Disneyland.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, man.
No, because I don't feel like...
That's Disney worship.
It's not Disney worship because I could be there.
Right.
Do it at your house where I know I'm not going to be there.
I hear you.
I don't want it at the mall. I don't want it at Chuck E. Cheese. I don't want it anywhere.
But there's been a lot. You know what? I agree with you. But there's been a lot of drama surrounding Disney. Like Disney's starting a lot of beef now. Like I don't know. I'm starting to question whether it's the happiest place in the world. Like they're starting some beef now because like you see the controversy that has sparked up now. Like.
Yes.
First of all, congratulations to
Halle Bailey.
I was going to say Halle Berry.
A lot of people want to do that.
They want to say Halle Berry?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's it's the next generation of Halle Berry. You know.
No, it's not. She's Halle Bailey, and she's the first and only Halle Bailey. And she's
a twin of.
She's not a twin.
She's not a twin? I thought her and her sister are twins.
No. There's a group. She has a singing group with her sister Chloe.
Oh, okay.
And then Chloe and Halle.
They look
and
a lot alike.
Halle, I think, is the younger one. They both.
She's a really great singer.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
They're beautiful.
They have dreads like me, or locks like me. They're just beautiful girls.
And she's gonna be the next.
Or I should say woman, because they're young women.
She's gonna be the next big Disney star in the
she's
next
be in the
movie.
Little Mermaid, the live action Little Mermaid. And when that news hit, there was a lot of controversy. But the point is that for every one we get, there's a ton of white princesses.
Right.
And honestly, I'm not saying don't make any with white princesses. That's fine. What we're saying is we want more of the other races represented in princesses.
Right.
So I don't detract from that. I said, let's just add more. I don't even feel that we need to keep doing remakes either. Let's have new black princesses.
Have new black princesses so that you don't have to take away one
you
from.
Have to take away one.
From the bushel.
Exactly. But I do feel like we grew up on this for generations now, because these things have been around from like the 30s.
Right.
We've
had time. We've had time to make it more inclusive.
And we've had to just be like, okay, and want to be a princess and want to get our Prince Charming and not have something that represents who we are and what we look like.
First of all, I find it so refreshing to have a lot of Asian films now that are on the rise, and I've talked too soon about on the rise, because it's not like a rise like a shooting star. It's like it's kind of creeping up, but I love those films and I like representation. And so I'm not sitting here complaining like I need another black one.
Right.
I would love to see the diversity of the rainbow represented, because, let's not allow people, the Asian culture is a big culture. It should be represented. Both Indian Asian or Oriental Asian, whatever, persuasion that you are, Latina, there should be a well representation. So I'm not just saying, okay, yeah, we need this black one. No, I'm just saying, come on, let's not do this to people, because one of the things that I'm very sensitive about being on YouTube is the importance of young children, because we're in that children and family space. It's important for children to see themselves reflected. They need to see families that represent them, so that it can say, I am somebody. I am important. I am beautiful. I am, I am lovely. If you're not
represented in society as smart or beautiful or funny or charming or like business savvy, whatever it may be, fathers, mothers, whatever it is, if you don't see yourself or see anything in your family like that or your friends, you're going to think, wait, is it possible? Are we also, like you said, are we important?
Right.
Do we have anything to offer? Are we beautiful?
European, Eastern European, all those stuff. Like, why is it that I'm seeing a ton of Eastern Europeans in cartoons, but they're all villains? Hey, what do you say? What do you mean? Yeah, they're always the villain. Like in what's that one where the little minions, every single Eastern European villain. Yeah. I mean, cartoon is some kind of villain from Russia or something, and he's supposed to be a mobster or something like
Despicable Me.
Despicable Me.
Yeah.
So it's just like we really need to do better than that. We cannot, because what we end up doing is characterizing people.
Because the U.S. is a melting pot, so therefore we can't say, oh well, that's other countries anyway. No, all of that is here.
Right.
All of us are here, and we should have more representation in the media, because it's so important. We get letters every day from parents just saying thank you for being out there and having someone that looks like my child on here. And I know that our friends who are people of color, they get that every day as well.
Right.
It's very important.
And that's a big objective for the Onyx family and the Onyx brand. The irony is that a lot of people associate the Onyx stone
with
just the black stone, but the truth is that when you look up the
colors.
Onyx, it comes in so many array of colors, several shades of red,
Green.
And different shades.
Mm-hmm.
And so And so I love the fact that the onyx stone and the onyx symbolizes a collection.
Right.
It's a collection of people. It's a collection of beauty.
Yes.
And a collection of gems.
That's why
We're all
anybody can
beautiful.
be in the Onyx fam.
Everybody can be in the onyx fam.
Anybody can
That's
be
right.
in it. So.
Right.
So speaking of that, though, this week. Well, actually, I don't know when this podcast is going out, but at VidCon, which is actually
Rita will be in
coming
VidCon this week.
Yeah. Well, we are going to be going out there because I'm speaking on one of the panels for the rise of niche networks. So one of the things that we have is something called BU. I think we've talked about it before.
We might have talked about BU before, but
basically.
Awesome. You mentioned You Perfect. Anybody else? Do you guys want to shout out some of your best channels, your best creators? Awesome, Rita.
Well, there's our channel, Onyx Family and Onyx Kids, but also we have Goo Colors, we have Naya and Ellie, we have ZZ Kids, we have a lot of family channels.
And going back down, you guys have criteria that you look at. If a creator comes to you, do they have to fit a mold?
For us, family friendly, that's number one. And no, we don't have any criteria in terms of like numbers because we feel like we can help people grow. So we actually have 2 tiers in our network. We have people who are actually in the network, and then we also have just community where we are able to help nurture and help grow the channel. So as long as they're family friendly and they fit our vision, then we welcome them in.
we might have talked about BU before.
But basically, it is a community of Black family and kid creators who are on primarily YouTube, but also on other social media platforms and other streaming platforms. And it's a community where we can come together and support each other, advocate for each other, and we can really organize things for our demographic. Now, our demographic goes beyond Black people, that's for sure, for everybody that's in there.
Right.
The main
because we're associated with
Family Video
Network. Family Video Network has all cultures, all colors, and we are just a branch. There's a part of our network that is in this network of a broader network.
And even how it started too was the head, Melissa Hunter, of Family Video Network. She saw the need to have someone represent Black creators, someone who understood our challenges, someone who understands what we need. And so she asked us to be, to actually head this part, which is that branch of Family Video Network.
And I think it's clever. I like how be you. It's an encouragement for you to be yourself.
So be
and
you
we're
actually
encouraging
came
everyone.
from, so it was supposed to be Black entertainers, YouTube.
Yeah, but we now say Black Entertainment U Family Network.
Yes.
So that's what it actually stands for.
Right.
BU Family Network stands for Black Entertainment U Family Network.
Yes.
Now we didn't want to say YouTube because you can't really put YouTube
That's
when you're licensing and stuff.
Their
It's their trademark work, so you can't put that in. But I kind of like it because, like in our slang, in vernacular, in Ebonic vernacular, you'll say, "Hey, you fam." You fam.
Yeah,
so now we just took it, and instead of saying Black Entertainment YouTube Family Network, we're just like Black Entertainment You Fam Network.
You fam.
You fam.
Give me the nod with the head. You fam.
You Fam Network. So you can't just say You Fam.
Her vision though is to have other niche networks that will also branch off from Family Video Network to cover Latino or Latinx communities and Asian. She knows that there's a need. And the reason is we all get on YouTube. We all do a lot of the same things, but sometimes the policies are not fairly distributed. They are not fairly enforced, I should say. We're not suggested in the same way.
Right.
There's a lot of different
the
issues
algorithms.
that come up.
There are some discrepancies even in the algorithm. So it's like we need representation. So our mission actually is BU is creating community among Black family and kid talent across multiple media platforms. So it's not just on YouTube. I'm actually glad that we did not have the YouTube in our name because we actually are beyond YouTube.
Right. Our stuff is on Amazon. We have some things coming out on Hulu. We hope to get some things on Netflix soon.
Right.
So it's on a lot of different platforms.
And major
it's on
television.
Instagram and Facebook.
We're projecting for our cartoon to be on a major network.
Right.
So
and we have other projects coming up that are actually going to be on mainstream networks.
Absolutely.
So we are just trying to establish a community of people who are, Black family and kid creators. Now, it doesn't mean that we're excluding anybody. What we're doing is we're just saying that there's a need right here. And being a branch of Family Video Network that caters to all, we're a part of the general Family Video Network. And then this is the branch where now we get to kind of address our specific needs while being a part of the broader family. Right.
So the whole family is multicultural, and we enjoy networking with everyone of all cultures, which is, that goes beyond saying. So that's our mission. So our vision is BU is a place where the Black family is fairly represented and widely celebrated. And I just feel as though it's so important to be both represented and celebrated.
Fairly too. Be fairly represented.
Fairly represented, right. And widely celebrated, because in many ways our culture doesn't always get to be celebrated because there's just so much negative that is being shown. We are trying to make sure that in each family we are given a distinct, we have the distinct opportunity to be able to show another side that oftentimes the media doesn't show. Right. They don't show that side. So that's what we do. And our slogan, of course, is where you can be you, or where you can just be you.
That's right.
So that's who we are as a BU family. We are so glad that we're able to have this podcast and to share a little bit more about who we are on Onyx Life. We are hoping that you will be able to be inspired so that you can live that Onyx life. That Onyx life is a good life. It's a blessed life. It's a life where we put family first, where there's family, fun, and faith. And so we're hoping that you will be able to be inspired by what we share, and that you'll be able to do some great things and soar to heights unknown.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed our podcast, and we will see you again next time. You could follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. You can also go to theonyxlife.com. And of course, you can listen on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you can. And you can also watch us on YouTube as well.
All right, so go live that Onyx life where change comes with challenge. See you next time.